It sounds so good. It's so much fun to play. In my mind, I sort of just associated it with kind of like fuzzy, doomy stuff. That's really not my thing. Hey, what's up guys? This is Bryce Van Hoosen. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're gonna check out a pedal that needs no introduction, but I'm gonna give it one anyway. This is the RAT pedal, the RAT V2. I don't know, whatever. It's the RAT, the one you get from Sweetwater, the ProCo RAT. Alright, so a little bit of personal backstory with me and the RAT pedal. This is a pedal that honestly I've never really tried, right? I've been playing guitar for like 20 years at this point, and I've always resisted the RAT pedal because in my mind I sort of just associated it with kind of like fuzzy, doomy stuff, and also kind of like the whole post-rock, like Radiohead sort of thing, which, you know, if you're into that, more power to you, but that's really not my thing. Yeah. It wasn't until watching the Rick Beato interview with Nuno Bettencourt that I became really interested in what this pedal can do, and I seem to have been targeted by a little bit of the YouTube algorithm in that respect, so I had to pick one up, got one last week, and man, I've been loving it. A lot of the demos that I've seen have not really featured the kind of Nuno way of using it, which is more like using it almost like an overdrive or a boost or that sort of thing. And yeah, man, this pedal really sounds freaking awesome that way. It's a little bit different than your average kind of tube screamer sort of vibe. So enough yakking, let's check it out and see what it sounds like. A little bit about the signal chain. I am playing my 2011 Jackson King V Elite with a EMG James Hetfield in the bridge and an EMG 66 in the neck, going into a relative arsenal of pedals up here. I'll try to explain what I'm doing before I do it with all of these guys. If you want me to invest in a better pedal vision sort of setup, you know what to do. Like and subscribe, help me get those numbers up. Anyway, we're gonna try boosting the boost with a number of different pedals and seeing how that works. So from here, going guitar into here, into the RAT, into my pedal board, which is kind of just a pass through at this point, and then going into my 78 Marshall JMP 2203, which is up here, you can't really see it. And then from there, we're going into this Boss Wazacraft tube amp expander, where I got a little bit of EQ, some my normal kind of setup with IRs and that sort of thing. And from there, going into the Universal Audio Apollo Twin, and then into a session on Reaper. And yeah, that's about it. You're getting pretty much as raw of a sound as I can sort of give you. All right, so I got the 78 JMP turned on up there. This thing is modded, but as you're about to hear, I'm not really using that much gain. Here's kind of the bass tone. So definitely more gain than your average 2203 circuit, but that really does not sound very tight. It sounds a little bit like kind of loosey-goosey sort of thing. Let's kick on the RAT, see how that sounds. That sounds so good. All right, so I have this set up in the standard Nuno Bettencourt position. The gain, or the distortion rather, we're just barely turning that on. It's on at about 9 o'clock. Volume is all the way up, so at about 3 o'clock. And the filter, which is like a tone control, is about 12 o'clock noon, in the middle. And yeah, as you can hear, it really tightens things up, gives everything kind of a different sort of vibe than your standard tube screamer. We're getting a little bit extra noise here just because I have these things daisy chained up here, so that's unavoidable. I love that sound. That sounds freaking amazing. It just has kind of this like sort of top end, like 2K-ish. If you believe guitar is a mid-range instrument like I do, anything that gives you kind of that aggressive bump at somewhere around the 2K area is usually a welcome improvement to me. And yeah, it has that sort of vibe. A couple of tricks and a couple other things that I want to try here. So I noticed that using it into the amp versus using it into a Boss chorus ensemble sounds a little bit different, and you can get kind of a bit of a tighter sound if you put it RAT into chorus ensemble into the front of the amp. So let's turn that on and I'll show you what I mean. Yeah, so I feel like it kind of adds a little bit of additional EQ past the RAT in that it's sort of, maybe sort of filters off a little bit of that high end. It sort of makes the top end a little more bloomy, I think. Here we're gonna use a bunch of weird, non-quantifiable guitar buzzwords, but it sort of takes the really high peaks and sort of chills them out just a little bit. So that's a really cool option for running this in front of an already dirty amp. So you can kind of use that chorus to EQ it just a little bit more than going straight from RAT pedal into the amp. And that goes for obviously any kind of distortion or overdrive pedal, whatever. Cool. The other thing that I noticed I really like is I have this modified Boss compression sustainer CS3 up here. I did the mod myself. I don't remember what I did. I think I changed some op amps and some other values, whatever. But it adds a nice little bit of a compressed sort of drive. It's almost kind of like a bit of a boost pedal now. So we're gonna go CS3, kind of a transparent boost into the RAT. We'll see how that sounds. It's about to get very noisy. All right, we're on. Ah, that tone's so fucking cool, man. I love how literally every kind of like pick, scrape, and pick sort of movement is just sort of captured. It makes it really punchy, and man, it just cuts through. Oh, it's so good. All right, so let's try it with a couple other things. Woo. Yeah. I think it sounds better with the compression sustainer in front of it, a little bit less noisy. So let's try a couple other pedals. I was recommended to try using like an SD1. I think Old England did that in his demo. But he was going in the effects loop, which, you know, I don't know, man. Use it as a boost, don't use it as distortion. It's more metal that way. All right, so let's try the Boss, the SD1, see how cool we can make that sound. So there's just the SD1 on. Turn on the Rat. Oh, God. Good Lord. All right, that's a lot. Okay, so I have this set up with my standard kind of SD1 boost if I'm doing this straight into the amp. I think it's a little bit much, so let me see here. I'm gonna take the drive, I'm gonna turn it all the way off. We're gonna noon for the tone since the Rat adds quite a bit. Let's try to turn this volume down and see if we can't make this sound cool. Yeah, that is incredibly tight. Let's compare it to the CS3 now. See which one. Back to the SD1. Ah, awesome. Yeah, the Rat just makes everything so much more interesting sounding to me. Okay, one last test. Let's start with the, this is the Fortin Blade. This is a really cool, just kind of clean boost. I did a demo of this maybe a few years ago. Well, that's a lot of noise. Let's take the low end out. The Rat tends to add kind of also a little bit of low end as well, especially if you're up in the volume and the distortion. Cutting down on the distortion a little bit tends to take that out, but we'll try to take it out of the blade here. All right, back to just the rat. Oh man, it sounds so good. It's so much fun to play. All right, there you have it. Heavy metal rats, not just for, you know, fuzzy stoner doom and art rock, post rock, Radiohead kind of BS. Sounds good as an actual boost for sort of more modern metal tone. So let me know what you think. This is definitely one of my favorite pedals that I've tried, and I can't believe it took me like 20 years to get around to actually throwing a rat in front of a Marshall. Classic tone for a reason. Let me know what you think. Do you have a rat? Do you like the rat? What's your favorite way to use the rat? Because there's a lot of different ways. And definitely makes you curious about the other rat variants that are out there, such as the Turbo Rat. Definitely got to give that a shot. All right, I am Bryce Van Hoosen. I will see you next time.